Oh, we're back, friends. Hello, welcome. I'm Steve Molk. I'm your host for TV Bingebox, the whatever this flogging thing is, a podcast ostensibly, but it's so much more. And I'm so glad that you can join me for this week's episode. Off the top, I just need to quickly tell you there's heaps of ways that you can stay in touch. You can follow the TV Bingebox Twitter or Insta, that's TV_Bingebox. You can be a part of the TV Bingebox podcast gang on Facebook, where there's heaps of conversation about the shows that people love, that they want to get involved in and do those sorts of things. Of course, TV Black Box is the home for all of the things around this that I'm a part of. And you can view this and each of the clips independently on youtube.com/TV Black Box. That's just that stuff. I'm Steve Molk, as I said, and I'm on Twitter, Insta, and on TikTok under that. And of course, I'm on Mastodon at Molk at the radio.com. I'll try it again, mate. I can't even get it right. I'm on Mastodon at Molk at the radio.au. Oh, I have to do something about rationalizing that because there's too many ways of things that you can keep up. If you want to hear me rant about television generally, I'm usually on the TV Black Box podcast, but this week I was special guest host of the Vertical Hold podcast with Adam Turner, normally with Alex Kidman as well, but unfortunately he is off doing whatever the heck he wants to do. So it was just me and Adam talking about sporting rights, about the anti-siphoning list, particularly about the cricket rights, and streaming in general. So that's at Vertical Hold. That's available right now. I just need to point out, for those of you that are long-time listeners, you might be wondering where Joe Casamento, Stephen Brook, and Dan Bennett, my usual partners in crime, are when it comes to TV Bingebox. Look, they are super important and very, very busy and have much better things to do than be a part of this. I can assure you they are alive, and I'll have to swing them through in time and get them involved in this as proof of life. But certainly Joe, Brookie, and Dan are still around and certainly a big part of the Facebook community and keen to be a part of this as they get the chance. They are hugely loved, not just by you guys, but of course by me, and their contribution to helping make TV Bingebox what it is phenomenal. And I'm so glad that I get to just kind of continue this even in their absence. And it'll be great to see them pop up, you know, through the year, giving us their views on the television that they're loving or possibly even hating as they watch it this year. We've got big plans. And by we, I mean me. And I'm trying to involve those guys as best as I can. I just know that they've got heaps of stuff going on, and I'm the one that has, you know, all this free time to just review television and do those sorts of things. If you believe that, I've got a big piece of land under a bridge that I want to sell you. Look, it is a packed show, and the best way that I can probably encapsulate what we're going to be talking about today is monsters in their various forms coming to life across these 4 TV shows that I'm going to be looking at. First of all, today, the first one I'm going to talk about is the second season of what has proven to be a really insightful documentary following the Australian cricket team. This is season 2 of The Test.
Mitchell Starc, ball in hand. We're set to go.
Bowled in, first ball!
Ruthless start in Australia.
Tim was a very likeable guy. He did something really dumb.
Tim Paine has stood down.
Today, I'm announcing my decision to stand down as the captain of the Australian men's test team.
And the difficult thing was, who replaces Tim Paine?
Pat Cummins, 47th test captain.
It's not like I did anything. I just went to sleep one day and woke up the next day and I was Australian captain.
Pat's dropped in the deep end 2 weeks before the biggest tour on the Australian calendar. Some of the players were finding Justin overbearing.
There were rumblings behind the scenes of disaffection between coach and playing group.
Then within 12 weeks, Tim Paine and Justin Langer, both of them are gone.
It was the first tour that we'd undertaken under Pat Cummins' captaincy, the first tour that we'd undertaken without Justin Langer, so there were lots of unknowns to be encountered and overcome.
They absolutely loved the fact that we were there.
We haven't been here for 24 years. We're going to make a statement.
In the air. What a catch. What a catch that was.
Australia have won in Pakistan.
Faith of the Australian cricket team was restored once again after another shaky period.
Don't care what everyone else
thinks, do it your own way.
Bowled him! Boland's got 6 at the G! Uzi's back and he's big and he's better than ever!
He is an outstanding captain, is Pat Cummins. What a team he has.
What's next for us? If we want to be number one in the world.
Is there any more pressured job in Australia than being the captain of the Australian cricket team? I do not think so. This incredible documentary picks up from season 1, which was all about the rebuilding of the Australian cricket team, particularly their integrity within the face of public scrutiny after what has become known as Sandpapergate. And this season runs through particularly the Ashes Tour of Australia in season 21-22. Now, I'm going to say something that has made me unpopular with my other cricket-loving friends. Because of their involvement in that whole Sandpapergate in the South African tour of a few years ago, I know that particularly Steve Smith, who was the captain at the time, and Dave Warner, who was the instigator of the incident, have paid their dues. They have, lived out their suspensions from playing for the team. I firmly believe they should not be playing first-class cricket ever again, because of the outcome of their actions. And look, I'm all for forgiveness and redemption, absolutely. Cricket traditionally is known as the gentleman's game, and with that comes expectations that you don't cheat. End of story. I don't care that there are other teams that have handed out lesser fines for greater evils at the international level. Australia don't cheat, and we cheated. And that was Dave Warner's insistence. He brought it to the captain, Steve Smith, and Steve Smith said, I don't want to know about it. And I think absolutely those two guys particularly should never play first-class cricket again for Australia at any form, in any way. I am not a fan of David Warner, and certainly less so now that, I'm hearing, he gets 200 in one game and people think, oh, he's the best again. Mate, he's a diabolical human being who shouldn't be representing this country. That's just my view. You may disagree. Hit me up on all of the socials and tell me what you think. What this does actually highlight is a really interesting team dynamic and how important that core playing group and how important the coach is in working with that team at a first-class layer, and the introduction of new players and how they affect the dynamic and what this looks like, and particularly the profile around Scott Boland, who you would have seen there in the promo, them shouting about him getting 6 at the MCG in his first test for Australia as a bowler. Phenomenal. He steps into an interesting history as an Indigenous man playing for the Australian cricket team. I think he is one of only 3 that have played first-class cricket for Australia. It could even be less than that. And what a way to step onto the world stage as a modern player. It's phenomenal. This season, it looks at 2 major controversies. The quitting, as we saw in the promo, of then captain Tim Payne after a historical error on his part in a relationship situation that saw him decide he had to stand down, because rightly, the captain of the Australian cricket team should be held to a higher standard. Tim resigned. And then the tension between that core leadership playing group, who under new captain Pat Cummins, whether or not Pat felt this, led to the demise of coach Justin Langer not having his contract renewed with Cricket Australia. Now, that's hugely controversial because he had just led the team to a 4-0 victory against England at home to retain the Ashes and a T20 World Cup victory. Like, he was kicking goals in the coaching stakes. It was huge that then went on to be that Cricket Australia went, sorry, Justin, we don't want you to be the captain because the players have a problem with you. That's huge news. Look, there was unprecedented access from this. Great work from Wooshka, who are responsible for making this. There's a mix of talking heads and footage from places that you wouldn't necessarily expect, being embedded, having the camera people or camera person embedded with the team. Lots of course, in dressing room stuff, behind the scenes stuff. I think why this stands up and stands out is that it shows the importance of culture to first-class professional sports people. In a similar way, we talked about Netflix's Breakpoint documentary last week. that culture, how you respond to criticism, how you respond to loss, how you respond to victory is so important. The key difference, of course, with this one is that we're looking at a team of up to sort of 15 or 16 professional sports people and how they work together with the coach. And also that inclusion of family. It's a very family-oriented scenario, and we see some great footage of the Australian cricket team having their Christmas Day celebration with the team and their families and those sorts of things. It's pretty incredible. Of course, Captain Pat Cummins is there, Alex Carey, Usman Khawaja, Stephen Smith, Nathan Lyon. If you're not a cricketer, those names mean nothing. A cricket fan, if you are, this one is absolutely for fans of the game who will love it. And if you're a fan of documentaries, you'll also absolutely enjoy this. If you're not, it's probably not your thing. But I can tell you that it's bloody well done and a great insight into a team of gentlemen who have massive expectations weighed on them, not just by a country, but particularly by themselves, because they stand in some of the most incredible shoes as the Australian cricket team in a country where that means an awful lot, and they know it. The Test Season 2 is only 4 episodes, and all of them are available right now on Prime Video, as well as all 8 episodes of Season 1. That's The Test, and you can check that out on Prime Video right now.
If you don't think there's hope for the world, why bother going on?
You haven't seen the world, so you don't know. You keep going for family.
I'm not family.
No, you're cargo.
Why are you so important?
Somewhere out west, they're working on a cure. I think what really impressed them was the fact that I didn't turn into a monster.
If she so much as twitches, don't.
Okay.
If I'm taking you with me, do what I say when I say it. You got any advice on the best way west?
Yeah, go east. You've come this far, then you know what's out there.
You're not gonna scare us.
Scared him? You have a greater purpose than any of us could have ever imagined.
Be careful who you put your faith in.
You might not be her father, but you were someone's. You trust me?
Oh, wow. And oh, wow, you guys. Like, I'm old enough to recognize that I've seen computer games grow and mature, and I love gaming myself. I remember the criticisms back in the day that computer games are nothing. They're not storytelling. It's glorified shooting McBang and off you go and those sorts of things. And what we're seeing now is that the effort poured into computer games and the stories that they tell are jeepers, often better than some of the TV that we're getting served up to us. And this does this really weird bridge crossing where, like, a lot of that's in the past now, but what we have is that gaming culture expects deep storytelling and fleshed out characters and emotional beats. And The Last of Us, which is what we're talking about now, a computer game that has become a TV series, not the other way around as we've seen in the past. This is phenomenal. It is no surprise that this franchise, computer game franchise, would be targeted for a conversion to a TV series. And I have to say, it is so much more rewarding than what they have done to Halo, which is close to my heart. And Jesus, did they screw it up. look, this is based on the PS4 game by a production company, Naughty Dog, and it's really important that Neil Druckmann, who is one of the key creatives behind the game series, is one of the key writers in this series. And it's just incredible. Then you get to throw in some of the creatives responsible for making the amazing HBO series Chernobyl, however you say it. It's a ripper, an absolute ball terror. And the cast, my friends, Pedro Pascal plays Joel, essentially a smuggler who is tasked with taking a young girl, Ellie, played by Bella Ramsay, to another area of the United States in this post-apocalyptic wasteland where a fungus has infected people and turned them into monsters, as you may have seen in that clip. And that's before we get to the fact that because of this, apocalypse, people went crazy, man, and how they respond to each other, the things that they do to each other in the name of survival. Outrageous. Joel is partnered with Tess, played by Australian Anna Torv, who you'll also see in the Newsreader season 2 this year as well. She was in season 1 a couple of years ago. She's brilliant. Throw in, if you don't mind, just some casual Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett as well, who play Bill and Frank respectively. The Last of Us it was just a compelling viewing for me. I managed to see the first episode at the premiere at Wednesday night this week. And as soon as I got home, I had to watch the remaining 8 episodes of the series because I just had to watch it. The story was so rich. The emotional beats and the hooks are so accessible. This is incredible. We have come full circle now where games are properties that translate to drama series because of the effort poured into that source material. The Last of Us is a captivating episodic drama series full of jump scares and absolutely enveloped by heart. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Stretch past the fact that you might have preconceived ideas about what a computer game drama series looks like. The Last of Us is 9 episodes long. It starts Monday, the 16th of January on Binge and also on Foxtel. Episodes drop weekly. The first episode is 90 minutes. Buckle up. I am not ashamed to say that there's a couple of episodes that just left me weeping at the emotion that I felt from them, from the story that they share with us, from the background or the interest that we get from those characters. Oh man, The Last of Us is just, I think already this could be my international drama of 2023. That's how good it is and how highly I rate it. You'll want to check it out from Monday on Binge. The Last of Us. Just do it.
Everything that happened flowed from that one moment, that one decision. Someone help me!
Michael, I am offering you a chance to atone for what you have done, to help eradicate an entire criminal organization for good.
What exactly are you asking me to do?
Did you ever tell anyone anything that I should be worried about?
Your problem become my problem.
The last time I saw someone get in his way, Baxter shot him in the head.
Tread very carefully right now.
Anger is where I want to live. Anger is where I flourish.
I can't help you.
Have I given you the impression that any of this is optional? If we do this correctly, every single person will get what they deserve.
Holy shitballs. Anger is where I want to live. Anger is where I flourish. This is Hope Davis just absolutely freaking you out through the computer screen. It's a phenomenal series. This is the second and final season of Your Honor, starring Bryan Cranston. Davis, as I mentioned, Michael Stuhlbarg, and a few others. I wasn't sure after season 1 that we needed a second season. After watching the first 5 episodes of this 10-episode season, I can tell you, we needed it. And it does plod a little bit in some of the early episodes, but stick with it, friends. If you loved season 1, you will absolutely want the completion of season 2, and it's incredible. I will watch Bryan Cranston, read the Yellow Pages. He's a phenomenal actor. I loved him in Breaking Bad. I loved seeing him pop up in Better Call Saul. I've watched him in everything that he's turned his hand to. And particularly Your Honor is a wonderful follow-up series for him in that regard. And I'm keen to see how this whole season rolls out. For those that don't know, Bryan Cranston plays Judge Michael Desiato, who is deep in despair in season 2 over the accidental death of his son, Adam. And we find him in jail after admitting to everything that led to the frightening climax of season 1. So I'm no spoilers there because I want you to dive into season 1 if you haven't seen it, but he's in a bad way. Hope Davis, as I said, we saw in the intro, and her husband, Michael Stuhlbarg, play Gina and Jimmy Baxter, who are the mob bosses, the mob family of New Orleans, and they rule that place with a gunpowder-filled, rod. They are ready to take everyone out. And what we do learn this season is that Jimmy married into this mob family, and that Gina has grown up with the violence of it, and the kids, it sits differently for their children. It sits differently with each of them as to how they feel about it. But Gina just absolutely wants the world to fucking burn. She wants it to be torn down because she is angry that seemingly she thinks her husband is being weak in the midst of all of this. And it's very incredible to watch the menace between her and her husband, even her going to, sort of a 12-step meeting to try and process her anger. And at the fact that what spawned all of this was the death of her son in the first episode of season 1. Davis is mesmerizing. You cannot turn away from watching her. She's incredible. Rosie Perez pops up in this final season as a federal associate district attorney, hell-bent on putting away not just the Baxters, but the entire Baxter clan and the extended thing into her family and beyond. She's a great little sort of angry mouse. She just pops up and upsets everybody and does all sorts of stuff in the midst of it. Rosie Perez is great. It just also stars Margot Martindale, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., and Andreen Ward Hammond as Big Mo, who runs a gang in the lower 9th district of New Orleans. And there's a real tension between the Baxter crew and her crew. And we see that continue across this season. There's lots of not just shenanigans that play out between, Desiato and the feds wanting to bring down the Baxters, but how do Big Mo and her gang deal with the Baxters, and what does that all look like? And then the broad tensions of a life of crime. New Orleans is as sultry as ever, though lots more happens indoors in this season than it did last, which means that ultimately we have to lean on the performances. And look, Cranston is eminently watchable in everything, especially this. However, Davis brings it to him, and she absolutely lines him up. That as characters, they have each other's number. They have met each other's match, and it's brilliant to watch that play out. This season for mine of Your Honor comes with big expectations, and it looks absolutely set to deliver. Now, Your Honor, season 2 starts on Stan today, on Saturday, the 14th Australian time, and they run weekly. So you'll get that across the next 10 weeks. I just got to recommend that you check it out, particularly if you haven't seen season 1. Don't start here. Go and watch season 1 of Your Honor before you start into season 2. It's definitely worth it. And I got to tell you, Your Honor is just something that will wash over you in the best kind of way. Check it out on Stan. That's Your Honor.
There are moments that make murderers of us all.
Bye-bye. Have a good day. Hello.
No one is safe from the worst that they can do. Cracks can open in the most ordinary life and swallow anyone at all. All it takes is a good reason and a bad day.
you down.
Everyone is a murderer. You just have to meet the right person.
I promised you last week that I'd be delivering some of my best of 22, and this is absolutely my favourite and the best international drama of 2022, no question. This is Inside Man on Netflix. It stars, as you saw in the trailer, David Tennant and Stanley Tucci. It's a real small cast. They keep it really tight, and I think we benefit from that. Stephen Moffat writes masterfully, and I've got to tell you, this is a masterclass in plotting across just 4 episodes to tell this incredible tale. David Tennant plays Harry Watling, who is an English vicar living a fairly normal life with a lovely wife and a teenage son. His son happens to be played by Moffat's real life son, until one decision one day changes the rest of his life. Stanley Tucci is a former criminology professor named Jefferson Grief, who is on death row for the violent murder of his wife. And these are 2 separate tales that we learn to be are inextricably linked, even though it's not revealed until like the last half of the final episode. How one's in England and one's in jail in America. How are they connected? They don't know each other. It's a bloody amazing tale. And I have to tell you, I spent the last episode pacing our lounge room out of anxiety because so much had gone wrong and so much had happened, and I just didn't know how this would wrap up. I had no idea about all of the things and how they would be connected and what it would look like. How are these 2 separate stories going to come together? They do, but not probably in the way that you think. And it's delightful, though I definitely had an anxiety headache by the end of it. It's a delightful series to watch. If it's any indication, I watched it with my wife, and my lovely wife. She is not a fan of binging things necessarily. We got through this as quickly as we could. We just had to get into, we couldn't let it sit. And of course, we are questioning the moral and ethical decisions made around some of the things that happen on screen. Would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you not this? Yet logically, some of the steps are just, well, yes, if you do make that decision, that's going to be the decision that happens next. And it doesn't make it better. It makes it worse. And that's why I found Inside Man just riveting, absolutely incredible. This is a BBC and Netflix co-pro that snuck under many people's radars last year. Do not let it slip under yours. It's 4-hour-long episodes. There are so many surprises. I would recommend that you probably take a break between each episode just to catch your breath. Because if you pay attention, you'll notice you hold your breath through large chunks of this episode because of this series, because that's what it does to you. It's absolutely the best international drama of 2022 for mine. Oh, that's Inside Man on Netflix. And my goodness gracious, it is so good. All 4 episodes of Inside Man are on Netflix right now. And friends, that's TV Bingebox for another week. Whoa, what a roller coaster. As I said, monsters in their various forms across all 4 series that I spoke about today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy how the revamped TV Bingebox is playing out. This is just a new thing that I'm trying and having a go at doing in the absence of my excellent friends, Joe, Brookie, and Dan. They're not dead. They are far too busy and important, but they will certainly slide back in and out of this across the year. So fans of them, you'll get to see them through the process. But don't forget, you can follow us on TV_Bingebox on Twitter and Instagram. You can join the TV Bingebox podcast gang on Facebook. And of course, follow along at TV Blackbox, or of course, youtube.com/TV Blackbox for all of the latest from not just TV Bingebox, but of course from TV Blackbox and those sorts of things. I'm at Steve Molk pretty much everywhere that matters, except on Mastodon, where I'm Molk at theradio.au. I feel like a Beck's and a good lie down now. I mean, that's an incredible run for what has been another massive week. I've got big plans coming up, and a fair warning, friends, in a couple of episodes' time, I have to. It's almost written in the stars. I have to preview the big 3 reality shows that are kicking off on the 30th of January, and that's going to be Australian Idol on 7, season 8 of that, technically. Married at First Sight, season 10 on 9, and Australian Survivor, season 8 on Channel 10. But that's a couple of episodes away. You might think, great, Molk, glad you're doing it. You also might think, what the hell are you doing that for? It's all a part of the service I provide. Thank you for tuning in and enjoying another episode of TV Bingebox. It's great that you're here. Let us know what you think. Comment under the article or hit us up on the socials or join the Podcast Gang Facebook group. Fill us in. What did you think of the shows that I talked about? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Was I right? Was I wrong? That's the key part. Television is for everyone. I'm Steve Molk, and I just love television. See you next week.